what I find that's interesting is we've had on a lot of different guests from a lot of different, sports, music, gaming, comedy, everything. But across all platforms, I don't know if pound for pound, there's anybody that's been on the show that's more consistent with their reach and just their content across all the different platforms. It's super. It's like you just crossed over 1 billion on YouTube. God knows where you're at on TikTok. Instagram's going crazy. So, I'm sure a lot of the fans probably saw the AND1 documentary, and, we have a younger fan base, so they might be kind of like learning that story for the first time. But I was just thinking, like, even just on the drive up here, like, everybody at the end of it was kind of left in the same playing field in terms of what now. Like, we all just had this huge boost of being on this. Now, what's the next chapter of life going to go for? And just me being really deep into branding and building, small businesses and stuff like that, like, what was that transition like? What were you thinking of in terms of, like, making that next step into, like, am I going to go to Nike? Am I going to go to Reebok? Am I going to build my own brand? That would probably take a long time.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, Nike and all that, that was, like, somewhere far off in the distance. Like, it wasn't happening. Like, when AND1 ended, it got bought out, by a different entity, and that's what happened, right? They sold the company, and I think it went for 2 or 3 more years after that. Like, I think it was, we were on the day I got the cover of we were on the cover of the Sports Illustrated. The day they put it in my hand, it wasn't 5 minutes. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder. Can't remember who it was, and they told me, like, hey, the company's just been bought out. Oh. You know what I mean? And me, I'm 23, so I'm like, well, what does that mean? Are we still hooping? And then somebody was like, yeah, you're still hooping. I was like, okay, cool. But, like, I had no idea what that meant. So, like, me and Main Event, we were talking about it. We're like, oh, I think we're in good hands. You know what I'm saying? We still got a big tour next year. Let's go, right? So it was like, it's all good. But the truth was, I think they fulfilled their production deal, their deal with ESPN. And then when it ran out, that was it. But the funny thing is, right around that time, it's like street ball and the whole wave of handles and carry moves and or that style of play just, like, went out the window. Like, Iverson's crossover was a carry. Hip-hop fashions were ruled out of the NBA, right? You couldn't no longer dress like that. And one like Iverson, right, with do-rag and a big white tee. All of a sudden now cats is button-ups.
At the press conferences and stuff, you mean?
Everything like flipped, and, like, street ball wasn't relevant. I didn't even get recognized in 2009 to 2000, somewhere in 2011. Like, I went to a UCLA game and one person recognized me. They came up to me and they were like, hey, weren't you in some, like, tournament or something? Like,
oh, hell no.
Yeah, but, like, that's before social, right? I mean, I had social, but before we even knew what social was going to be, before we knew how to properly brand, I had, like, a MySpace and a Facebook.
Yeah.
So, like, back in the day, once that TV show ends or that acting wave, like, if it goes 12 months, you're out of there. Nobody gonna remember. You think about today, we can forget somebody's on social. Mm-hmm. So the thought was, hey, we did overseas tours more than we toured the U.S. So when I go to U.K. and Paris and Asia, like, people would always rush me and they'd be like, yo, Professor, what's good? And I would always, like, try to have, show the fans love. I'd be like, thank you so much for watching the show. But a couple people would correct me and they'd be like, no, we seen you on YouTube. Oh. So I was looking into YouTube like 05, 06. I was trying to flood YouTube. Because people would rip our highlights from the ESPN show.
Get views on it.
Make fan compilations, and they were going berserk. Like, I saw a Professor mix, a Hot Sauce mix, Main Event mix. There was, like, several of mine. They were all getting, like, 3 to 5 million views. One had 10. So I was like, why don't we make our own? You know what I'm saying? And then the goal was to get bookings, though. YouTube AdSense didn't start till 08.
So you're pre-getting paid.
So I've been on YouTube since, like, 05, 06, and not even getting a dime. But you could get a DM back in the day on YouTube, so I was hoping for some bookings. And I was actually running out of my homie's, the editor, his channel. So when AdSense came about, I started my own channel in 2009.
When you say booking, what are you referring to?
Somebody hits you up like, hey, you want to come to Brazil and play in this exhibition for X amount of money?
Damn.
Yada, yada. Yeah, I mean, that's...
You get paid like that to go play? I didn't realize this.
Yeah, after AND1 ended, I used to just, like, travel the world playing one-off, either just off-branded exhibition games or appearances, or it'd be like AND1, because AND1 was in 40 countries. So, like, my last AND1 game was in 2010 in Angola, Africa. But people wouldn't even know, right? It was off the scene for years at that point, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 2010, I feel like that was well past.
Yeah, stopped. 08 was the last ESPN season. And so, look, back to your question, what it looks like to build a brand. I'm just, like, freestyling. I'm like, start this YouTube up, hopefully get some DMs, keep the show money going. But I went completely broke. I was selling my own AND1 jerseys on eBay.
Oh no!
Man, point of that.
It went bad. It went bad to like, but I was living check to check. I was a kid. I thought the money we make millions of dollars. We were going crazy. So like, I had a condo in LA. I had a condo in Oregon where I'm from. I had a Benz. I had 5 cell phones for, I don't know.
I'm not even trapping. I got 5 cell phones.
Yeah, I had like 3 Wi-Fi bills. I had like the USB Wi-Fi chip you take with you. Like,
You were just going hard, man.
Yeah, it was different. So I was living check to check. So when it ended, it was like, well, what now? And I was like, I wasn't as well spoken. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want training to me to be a trainer. I'm like, it's for small time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was just trying to figure it out.
So do you think if they wouldn't have sold, would the run have kept going, or was it just the timing of it all?
I think it would have kept going. ESPN, I found out later, didn't turn it away. Like the company just turned it away.
No.
The company tried to go like more conventional, which I can't blame them. They tried to expand, right? Let's go back to NBA focus. We'll still do a little bit of everything. I remember the dude when he told me, he's like, hey man, he's like the And One Mixtape tour. I remember that, I'll never forget, he was like, it's just a branch on the tree, you know what I'm saying? It ain't the trunk. You know what I'm saying? It's just a branch of it, not knowing like it actually was it was built off. Off the mixtapes and street ball.
Yeah.
And that's how it rose to the forefront because it was so different. It was so different. It's not college, it's not the NBA, it's not high school, it's its own thing. So it was the only basketball thing that really survived outside of the Globetrotters. But obviously it was the cool Globetrotters. So yeah, I think the funny thing is they had intern PR on And One Mixtape. We never even had a Hollywood
What,
rep.
the whole time?
The whole time. It was just so big. You know how it is. Even me now, like I actually only pay for PR like once in a blue. I don't really do it. But I get mainstream hit ups all the time. And it's like, hey, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Those are $10,000 appearances if you have PR and if those people decide to bring you on, like say like the Ellen show, right?
Oh, gotcha.
You can pay a $10,000 PR to pitch you to Ellen. They still gotta say like whether they want it or not. Gotcha. But like I get those for free, so I was like, let's get it. But
I always wondered about
anyway,
that.
And One never got repped by like a CAA, William Morris back in the
Gotcha.
day. They never
just going hard
went
with
to
it. They just
Hollywood.
Went through the streets and then just global.
It was the streets with mainstream coming to them, but like, could it have gone long? I mean, if it would played the cards right and then branch out in Hollywood, I think it could have went. I don't know.
That was probably the last like organic street brand that they printed off 50,000 tapes. Give
I mean,
them
this
away
is
for
season
free.
1. This will do
Yeah.
30 minutes on the end, on the beginning of all this.
Yeah, no, that's
This is
legendary
years
to me.
coming
That
right
like
now.
bridges the gap from pre-internet to into the internet. You guys, Kimbo Slice, same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, no, that was my childhood. Like I
Thanks,
can't even
bro.
tell you how many times I got called professor. Like
You
that
got
was
white dude playing ball.
like,
Exactly.
it was towards the
And
end
he's
of
from
my
Buffalo.
career.
I love
Yeah.
that.